Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Listen, I know that sounds funny. We 18 days in, but it's the new year for me. I've been on the road, been traveling. I think the last week you probably saw a rerun of my end of the year, end of 2023 show. And but I am back in the studio live, and I have a guest with me tonight. And this is one of those impromptu guests. This is one of these, you probably have seen him on We Believe TV. He has his own show. And I'm going to let him introduce himself. Welcome.
Hey, thank
Dr.
you.
Henderson.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Well,
Yes, sir.
I'm known as Eldridge Henderson. I'm from the #1 town in Mississippi. You ever heard of Bolton, Mississippi?
I've heard of Bolton, Mississippi.
Bolton, Mississippi is a great little town. I was born there. After I left the Delta, I called it being born there. I was in the Delta. I was really born in the Delta, but we didn't stay there for 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
And Mom and Dad decided to move to Hinds County.
Mm-hmm.
And they gave us a wonderful opportunity in Hinds County. I moved here 2 weeks old, and we had free housing, free jobs, free transportation, and free medical service.
All the free stuff.
That's right.
That's what got you to Bolton.
That's right. On a plantation. They gave us all those great opportunities on a plantation in Hinds County.
Was that sharecropping?
It was worse than that.
What's that?
You're working for the boss most of the time and yourself.
Okay.
We were so poor we couldn't sharecrop alone. We had to work for him and ourselves for 17 years.
17 years.
17 years, man.
So after 17 years, sound like you probably got the first thing smoking out of Bolton.
Come on here, you're a mind reader. That's exactly what happened, Doc. That's exactly what happened.
All right. Well, I'm glad you were in the lobby today and got a chance to be my guest on the Proven Wrong Show 2024 edition. This is the first show of 2024, and like I said, we're going to learn a lot about Dr. Henderson and his life. But before we get into that, I wanted to just ask a few questions. And you know how to reach me. You can call 1-800-492-5186. Once again, 1-800-492-5186. If you have any questions for myself or for my guest, Dr. Henderson, tonight, give us a call. Or if you'd like to be a guest on the show, please email me, vgordan@comcast.net. That's vgordonyl@comcast.net. And like I said, I just got back into the great state of Mississippi. I've been in the my other home, Los Angeles, California, by way of Anaheim. I was in Anaheim for a week, 5 days actually, for a Young Life Conference, our national conference held every 4 years. We normally have it at Disney World in Orlando. They're doing some construction stuff, and we decided to do something different. So we went to Disneyland in Anaheim, California, and we had a blast. The weather was beautiful. The city was clean. My goodness. And then coming back to Jackson. Well, before I get back to Jackson, we had a great conference in Orlando. We had 6,000, not Orlando, but Anaheim. 6,000 staff folks and guests at this conference. So we were all over the Anaheim Convention Center, and diverse group, folks from 112 countries. Young Life is not just something I do in Jackson, Mississippi. I get the privilege of being the area director here in Jackson, and I love it. Been doing it for the past 25 years. Working with these high school students here in the metro inner city area of Jackson. But we're also in 112 countries now around the world. And those 112 countries were also represented. So we saw folks from Uganda, folks from Scotland, Ireland, all over the world. And so it was just good fellowshipping with them and just good time of renewal. But then we left there. My wife and I rented a car, and because I'm from South Central LA, we rode. We got a chance to go down and see my stepmother and my daughter and cousins and just hang out. We hung out and had a great 3 days. But going from Anaheim to Los Angeles was like going from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air to Good Times. I'm telling you. And so I asked myself a question while I was there. And the question I'm going to ask tonight is, what happened? And Dr. Henderson, I hope you can help me. And it's just ironic that, like I said, you were out in the lobby today, had no clue what we were going to talk about. But you coming from the mighty, what was that area you came before you got to Bolton?
Delta area.
You were in the Delta for 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
And moved to the big city of Bolton.
That's correct.
And stayed there for 17 years.
17.
And then got the first thing smoking out of there.
Matter of fact, I started walking out.
You started walking.
And then I caught a ride. Somebody felt sorry for me and said, "Hey, boy, you want a ride?" "Yes, sir."
Now, what year was that?
That was back in 1958.
58.
58.
So it was no big thing for them to say, "Hey, boy, you want to ride?"
No big thing.
And no big thing for, "Yes, sir."
That's right.
Uh-huh.
And you jump on the back of whatever it is, and they get where they're going. Okay.
That's it.
That's
And
it.
you got to figure it out from there.
And you go to the next step.
Right.
That's what life is all about, ladies and gentlemen. You have to decide to do something.
Mm-hmm.
Make a plan. And then work to get there.
Right.
And use any means necessary to do it.
All right, Malcolm. All right. Any means necessary. So you're going to get a little taste today on today's show of, how old are you, Dr. Henderson?
I'm 79.
79 and 59. So a 20-year difference. I'll be 60 in March. So in a couple months. So 79, 59, 20-year gap. But the same things are relevant even for the young folks today and for all of our listening audience. So he said you had to do what you got to do, make a plan, and then step out on that plan. The first thing I heard, and it came to my mind, there was an old song that said, "Put one foot in front of the other."
That's
Put
correct.
one foot in front of the other.
Oh, yeah.
And soon you'll be on your way, or something like that.
Yeah.
You know. And so, but I think what has happened, because when I was in California, especially when I went from Anaheim to Los Angeles and went to my old neighborhood, South Central LA, I remember a time when black folk had pride. Matter of fact, James Brown, "Say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud." Dun, dun. Say it loud, dun, dun, I'm black and I'm proud. What has happened?
Well, people have decided that they are just going to sit around and moan and groan and criticize people for their condition
Mm-hmm.
that they allow themselves to get in
Mm-hmm.
by not being positive, collective citizens that had discipline and an opportunity to take advantage of the miseducation that they had available at the time. You heard me.
I heard you.
They didn't take advantage of the miseducation
Right.
and training that they had.
Mm-hmm.
During my time, just to digress a little bit, we were in that same situation. But when we were in high school, we were able to learn how to lay bricks, do a little carpentry.
Mm-hmm.
We were learning how to do some horseshoeing
Mm-hmm.
on the plantation.
The mechanical work.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Learn how to do a little air conditioning and heating.
Right.
Oh, a little welding.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't happen today
Right.
for the high schools in most of the southern states.
Mm-hmm.
So when one was able to finish high school back in those days, I'm talking about the 50s
Right.
and the early 60s, one could leave high school even if they didn't graduate
Mm-hmm.
and end up and lay bricks,
Right.
do little air conditioning and heating, drive a truck, and a lot of other little things.
Mm-hmm.
But now they can't do that. And now you find the young people are creating more problems than they are worth.
Right.
Family discipline is non-existent.
Out the window.
Miseducation is not as good as it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
You have to take a test now to get in a miseducated institution.
Mm-hmm.
In my day, all you had to do is show up
Right.
and say, "I want to learn how to lay bricks." Because when you were in the school system at that time, you had to do something.
Mm-hmm.
So you had usually 3 trades at the local high school. And you had 2 or 3 at the next high school.
Mm-hmm.
And you had to take one of the 3,
Right.
whether you liked it or not.
Now, so you had that in Bolton.
That's right.
I had that same thing in junior high school in Los Angeles.
Excellent. Now, I didn't go to junior high. We
Mhm.
had elementary and then started in 9th grade high school.
Mm-hmm.
We were able to get a new school called Sumner Hill High School in Clinton, Mississippi.
Right.
And Clinton was the county area at the time. Now it's an incorporated area.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't have a black school in the county. They had one or two in Jackson. But we were too poor to go to high school in Jackson because it was about 18 or 20 miles from home.
Right.
And since we didn't have adequate transportation, you just couldn't walk there day and night.
Right.
So we had to just forego education until they started that black school for black folks in Clinton.
Mm-hmm. So Sumner Hill started as a black school for black folks.
High school.
A black high school for
Ninth-
black folks.
9th through 12th grade.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's a middle school.
Right. Right. And so when I look and see how far we as a race of folks have of people have just decided, and not all, you know, I'm not painting with a broad brush of all, but I took a picture of this young man, and when I say he was a young man, homeless, no shoes on, looked like early 20s, and just broad daylight sleeping right behind a bus stop. So then this lady has to come up and catch the bus. Looked like she was getting ready to go to work or somewhere productive. She had a mask on, but she had to, you know, be subjected to him laying there at the bus stop while she waiting to go on. And it got worse. It got worse as the time I stayed. And I was only in South Central for 3 days. And after those 3 days, I was ready to come back to Jackson. But then when I get back to Jackson, I'm seeing some of the same things. And so I'm asking myself, this is a new year, people. And so Dr. Henderson going to help us, and we're going to talk about it. And hopefully we can help you because this is a new year. And so my question is, with this new year in 2024, is it a new year for you, or is it the same old, same old? What has changed in your mind for you to say, okay, I'm going to do things different. I'm going to take advantages of the opportunities that are out there. We heard Dr. Henderson said what he did, the first advantage that he had after he left the Delta was the truck that was coming by.
No, that's after
you left the Delta.
I left Bolton. See, I left the Delta when I was 2 weeks old.
Yeah, that's right, when you left Bolton.
Hinds County in
Right.
Bolton, Mississippi.
And you got on that truck.
That's right.
And so you took advantage of a truck coming down, and you said, I need a ride.
I took advantage of getting out of there walking first.
Right.
I had to get to the road.
Right.
We called it the road at that time. And you just get on the road and start walking.
Start walking.
And somebody will usually stop and give you an opportunity to ride.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's a certain person, you had to jump on the back.
Right.
Even if you had seats all over the place on the inside.
You getting in the back.
That's right.
Right.
And if they had other things in the back, you just got on the bumper and just
held on.
found a place to hold on until they got where they were going.
But you took advantage. You started walking, you know, and I'm meeting more and more young person. Matter of fact, I got a call probably an hour ago. Young man I've been trying to help. And he supposedly has a job now in Western Plaza. And he says, well, he called me and said, I got an interview at, what you doing tomorrow at 3 o'clock? I said, I'll be working. I'm always working. I said, what's up? He said, I was just trying to see if I can catch a ride. I got a job interview at Walmart in Ridgeland. Now, he lives in South Jackson. I said, well, the bus runs to Walmart in Ridgeland. The bus go right there. I don't have no money for the bus. I said, aren't you working? Yeah, I'm working. I said, well, sound like you're not going to have your rent for tomorrow then, because he pays every week. Sound like you're not going to have your rent money for tomorrow. And I'm not going to say his name, but this is relevant to taking those steps. Now, you have a job interview, so how are you going to get to work every day if you can't even get to the job interview?
Let me answer that for you.
Go ahead.
He's not going to get to work every day.
Mm-hmm.
He is likely not even get to the interview.
Right.
He's going to have an excuse not to get there because there's no one to take me.
Yeah.
He needs to start walking.
Mm-hmm. He does.
If his interview is at 9 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
or whatever, he only lives in South Jackson.
Right.
and he could get there.
Oh yeah, you
in
can
2
walk.
or 3 hours.
Uh-huh.
We had a neighbor that lived down in Hinds County on the plantation, and he would walk to Clinton every day,
Mm-hmm.
which was about 18 miles from home. He did it for years. He'd walk to his job and walk back home to the plantation and work on the farm
Mm-hmm.
until he couldn't see. And eventually he got a car.
Right. Oh yeah. So what has happened? I want you to help me with your expertise. What has happened with our people to where we've gotten to the place of I call it expectancy privilege. You know, the word privilege used to be reserved for white folks. They were privileged. So now we even have poor folks on substance or some type of public assistance, but they still have the privileged mentality. Where did that come from?
Well, that came from lack of discipline and lack of a strong family structure. Now, during the period that I mentioned, and I've said this so many times, I get tired of saying it, even though most of the people I knew during that time didn't even have $1,
Mm-hmm.
not $100, $1, and most people in our community had anywhere from 5 to 10 or 12 children,
Right.
plus an outside family.
Mhm.
I'm talking about most of the men.
Yeah.
But old dad was in the house,
Mm-hmm.
or some stepfather,
Right.
and those guys were disciplinarians.
Mm-hmm.
They would talk to you first, and then encourage you second if you didn't do what you were told to do, and they usually encouraged you with an object of persuasion.
Right.
And I don't have to go any further.
No, you don't. You don't.
And you moved.
Mm-hmm.
And if you did it the second time, even though we didn't have no doctors to go to, you
Mhm.
usually needed medical attention.
So, you know, and I know you're telling the truth. I know you're telling the truth. My grandfather was a man of very few words, Lindsey Taylor, and he raised 10, 3 boys, 7 girls. And he didn't have to say a lot. He had a look he can give you. But those 10 children have raised and gone. And my grandmother, Maudine Taylor, is still living, 102 years old, still living in the house my grandfather built on Morton Avenue. And she's outlived 5 of her children. But her children's children are doing pretty well. But then that next generation,
That's the problem.
that
no discipline.
Yes, they got away from
That's right.
that type of discipline that my grandfather gave his children, and that my mother gave me, and I instilled the same type discipline that my mother gave me on my children.
But let me tell you what happened during that third generation.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, that old father was not there.
You right.
In my situation,
You right.
the average father had a second or third or fourth grade education.
Mm-hmm.
Every man in the community had a job.
Mm-hmm.
Every man.
Yeah.
Most men in the community could fix something.
Mm-hmm.
Cars, wagons, buggies, bicycles,
Mm-hmm.
or make them.
Right.
They were able to get to work because you didn't have a job, and your desire was not to show up late because you wouldn't have it tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So you would get to work, as I would say again, any way you could,
Mhm.
but you would get there on time
Right. Right.
if you had to walk.
And we didn't have, you know, all the public assistance that we have now either.
Of course not.
We didn't have that. And so we're in an election year, and, you know, I think the tides are going to turn this year after this election cycle, because I'm hearing and I'm talking to more and more blacks who grew up Democrat but are now sick and tired of giving out. And they're looking now to change over. And a good friend we both have who says he's a chameleon. You know, he's not Republican or Democrat. He's a chameleon. You know, and so I think the tides are going to turn. But man, which direction is it gonna go?
That's what I talked about on my show a few minutes ago.
Okay.
There are going to be some major changes in 2024.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are not happy with the Democrat.
Right.
A lot of them not happy with the Republican,
Mm-hmm.
other than the hardcore Republican.
Right.
Now they're going to stay put, as
Right.
we say.
Mm-hmm.
But there are going to be a lot of surprises
Yeah.
with the voting population in so-called minority area.
Yeah, I believe that. We have a commercial break right now. We'll be right back. I got a caller coming in. I'll get that call as soon as we get back from the commercial. We'll be right back after this break.
Have you had your Earthblend coffee today? At Earthblend Coffee, we take pride in offering you the very best of beans across the world, blended and roasted to perfection, giving you superior quality and satisfying and flavorful taste. Experience the world in one cup with Earthblend Coffee. To order, visit earthblendcoffee.co now.
The Mississippi Link is an African-American female-owned newspaper with a trusted voice that is highly respected throughout the city, state, and nation. Our motto, Keepers of the Knowledge for People Who Speak the Truth, since 1993. Link significantly influences the thoughts, attitudes, and buying decisions of its readers. Call us at 601-368-8481 for your advertising needs. If you would like to receive a newspaper in the mail each week, our annual subscription is only $52 per year. That is only $1 per week for you to stay informed regarding many stories that you can only get in the Mississippi Link. Sign up today at themississippilink.com and click on Home Delivery.
SocratesGarrettENT.com is a diversified firm specializing in recycled aggregates and crushed concrete. SocratesGarrettENT.com's recycled materials provide the construction industry with significant economic and environmental benefits by recycling clean concrete rubble into MDOT grade rock materials. Recycled aggregates and crushed concrete can be applied to driveways, road construction, bank protection, parking lots, general bulk fills, and more. For more information, please call 601-896-0084 or visit us online at SocratesGarrettENT.com.
All right, we are back live in the studio. Happy New Year. 2024 is here. 18 days into the new year, and what have you decided to do different? Right before the break, we had a caller. Are you still there, caller?
I'm here, Mr. Gordan. How you doing? This is Tim. How you doing this evening?
I'm good. Tim, how you doing?
I'm good. I was going to say a comment about the young man was calling you, but he wanted to ride to Walmart in Ridgeland.
Uh-huh.
And he was it's like number 12 goes to Walmart or on Carolina Road. While he got some money, he tried to catch the bus. Like me, I ride a bus all the time. You need to go. You know, when I was you, he should have some money to catch the bus. He tried to make sure he had a way to get over there.
Right. I totally agree, Tim. And you know, you're the first person I thought about because I know you can catch the bus anywhere in the city of Jackson. And so I just didn't know that number. What's that number that goes over there, number 20?
No, number 12 goes to hit the Walmart on Carolina Road.
Number 12. Okay. All right. I would definitely let him know. All he got to do is catch that number 12, and it'll take him right to the Walmart.
Yeah, because I use a bus pass right on me, though.
I'll let him know, man. You know what I'm probably going to do, Tim? I'm probably going to loan him the money to catch the bus. I thought about just going ahead and stopping my work for a little while and making sure he got over there. I think I'm just going to loan him the money so he can catch that bus. And just to see if he can take the initiative to do that. Bus number 12. I appreciate you, Tim. Thanks for listening, man.
You're welcome.
All right.
You're welcome.
All right. So, you know, I was doing some reading this morning, and I read something that talked about human capital, and we kind of mentioned that earlier when you went to Atlanta before we came on live. I guess you can turn that off now because it's feeding back. But when you talked about when you moved from Mississippi to Atlanta during the heyday when all the black folk was just migrating to Atlanta, you had and you took advantage of your personality, the fact that you was a college student, and you started volunteering, and then getting put on these different committees, meeting folks.
That's correct. When I left Mississippi during that period, I had a old beat-up Volkswagen, and I had an apartment. Anything I couldn't put in my Volkswagen, I just left it there. I told the owner to give it to anyone.
Mm-hmm.
But I got the smallest U-Haul I could find because my Volkswagen wasn't very good.
Right.
And I put a bicycle and a few other items in there. And when I got to Georgia, I had messed up the engine in my car by pulling
that U-Haul.
thing. And I only had just a little money, no place to live. I say I could find a place when I get there.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to spend my money on getting the car fixed before I started classes.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
I made it.
But you made it.
I made it.
But you know, you had when you said you put a bicycle in that U-Haul, that was your backup transportation.
Exactly right.
Right. You know, I remember I was traveling, I think from South Carolina to Jackson. I had a bicycle in the car too. Had a blowout on the side of Interstate 20, somewhere in Georgia, driving from South Carolina. At that time, I had my young wife in the car, and we were getting ready to move to Japan. So I remember vividly, we were moving, coming here. And so the car was packed up, had my bicycles. I was going to take my bicycle to Japan. I always had a backup transportation. Even to this day, I still have a bicycle, roller skates, skateboard, and then I can walk. And I tell these young folk, I'm going to get to work. Nothing going to stop me from getting to work. But we had a blowout on that road. And here I am. I pulled the spare out. The spare was on the flat. So then the next thing, pull that bicycle out, put that spare on top of that bicycle. I'm riding down the interstate on my bicycle.
That's right.
Finding the closest off-ramp to go get that tire pulled over. And so I rode for about a mile and a half. A guy pulls over in a truck, puts my bicycle. He takes me to get some air and brings me back. And so even though we're a 20-year difference, our stories are similar because we had those men in our lives. I had a grandfather and I had uncles. But then because of the 20-year difference, I understand what you mean when you say when these men left and they had other families. My dad left us when I was 7 to go be with his other family.
Right.
You see? And then from that point on, my mother raised 3 children by herself, and it was hard, but she did it.
Now, let me tell you what the bad part is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the next group that's under your age
Mm-hmm.
are
Right.
going to have it worse than we had it.
Mm-hmm.
There's no father there.
Right.
The mother has to make ends meet with 2 or 3 jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, she's going to pull in a boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to cause problems.
Mm-hmm.
And if the young man is there, he's not going to get along with the
Right.
new stepfather or the new boyfriend.
Right.
Then you got the young girl there. She's going to have limited economic means, so it's not going to be any telling what she's going to do to make money.
Mm-hmm.
And she's not going to look out for education because she's going to be trying to pattern herself after the stuff she sees
Right.
on social media.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the next group going to be worse
Right.
than your 20-year difference.
Right. And we're starting to see that. You can hit that speaker again. Looks like we have another caller. All right, caller, you're on the air. How can I help you? What's going on with you? This is the Proven Wrong Show.
How you doing, Mr. Vance? And how you doing, Dr. Henderson?
Doing fine, sir.
I've been watching you guys, of course. You know, I want to take you back a little bit when you was talking about the politics in the election in 2024.
Yeah.
I want to use an analogy on this, being that the Democratic Party has a history of giving, which I like to call hindering.
Mm-hmm.
And the analogy I would like to use is, I'm just going to ask this question, let you have it, and I'm going to get off the phone, is how do you unspoil a spoiled child?
How do you unspoil a spoiled child? How do you unspoil cabbage?
I don't know.
You can't. You can't.
Right.
You can't unspoil cabbage. You have to throw it out, or you have to cut the outer layers off, get rid of some stuff, and hopefully there's something still salvageable in the middle. It's the same way with a spoiled apple. You know, you cut off the bad part and hope you got something left. You know, whether it's a cabbage, apple, tomato, whatever fruit or vegetable that can spoil, even meat. If it's spoiled, you try to cut away. As if it's spoiled to the core, all you can do is throw it away. Go back to the stove.
Exactly.
And I believe it's the same way with these young folks. Now I believe
that's what
I'm
it is.
The kind of guy that I'm gonna cut away and cut away and cut away because I know it's some good in you somewhere. Let me get to the core of who you are. I'm not gonna throw you away right away. That's why I keep working with this same young man that's trying to get a ride for a job. You know, I'm cutting away at you. I cut you sometimes and it hurt, but if it hurt, it's for your good. You know, and so there's a scripture, and you probably heard it, that says, spare the rod, you finish it for me. He who spares the rod, what?
They spoil that child.
Yeah, that's what a lot of folks say, but do you realize that's not in the Bible? That's a wise fable. You ain't gonna find it in any translation. It says, he who spares the rod hateth his child, but he who loves his child disciplines him quickly. And so we right back to discipline. And so if young folks are not getting disciplined, and discipline is not always a beating, it's not always, sometimes you have to cut away, take away some stuff. Let these young people know you run the house. It's sad to say, man, but a lot of these parents, you paying the cell phone, you bought the cell phone, you paying the cell phone bill, but yet and still you're giving your child all of this, but they're getting nothing. You're getting nothing back in return. Then as they grow older, you become a prisoner in your own house. That's what we're starting to see in Jackson and around the world in our communities where there's no discipline.
Well, you know, I came from the era where we had to earn, man. Anything you had to earn it. It wasn't a given. If it was a basic necessity, even if it was a basic necessity, you still had to earn that.
Yeah, you had to pull your weight. And so, you know, I appreciate your question, man. I hope I answered it. I know I answered your question with a question, but I hope it made sense. If a child is spoiled, you're gonna have to cut away some things, try to cut away to find that good part, and then salvage that good part.
All right, man. Thank you for taking my call, and you guys have a great show.
All right, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Henderson, anything you'd like to add to that?
Well, one thing that I always find, if you have a problem with a person, you want to find out what caused the problem. So you ask him, now why you can't do any better? Why do you think you can't do any better, young man or young lady?
Right.
And they will tell you something for sure. And then you work there, eliminate that, and use what I call replacement. Say, this is your problem as you see it. This is a possible solution. Well, I can't do that. Well, let's find out how you can learn to do it.
Right.
That takes work. Sometimes that takes relocating yourself.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes doing something that you don't want to do.
Well, you said a key word. You said sometimes it takes work.
Of course.
Now, work is a cuss word in the black community now.
Well, for many. But see, the good thing about it is,
they don't want to work.
But if you would be smart enough to work, you might get pay.
Yeah.
But if you're a young person, male or female, and you don't want to work and get paid, I guarantee you, within 6 months or a year, you're going to be working in jail or prison, or you're going to be dead.
Right.
You're going to work somewhere.
Oh, yeah. And that's where we're coming to, and that's where we're getting to now in our communities, where I'm seeing more and more younger and younger folks want to stand at the gas station or in front of the dollar store or the grocery store. Hey, excuse me, sir, you got $1? Excuse me, sir, you got it. So we're quickly turning into a third world country, because you see that when you go visit Africa. You see that when you go visit other third world countries. You know, young folks are, around begging, the Philippines, they're taught to beg. That's so we're slowly becoming that in the black community, where young people are being taught how to beg and not work.
But let me tell you what is happening in this situation. See, the Democrats going to take care of that situation.
Mm-hmm.
They are in a position now to, they're doing it gradually. They are going to replace blacks.
Oh, yeah.
All of those blacks that's not doing what they're supposed to do according to the culture of the Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
They already have an open system where they are letting new people come into the country.
You know it.
They are giving them food, clothing,
Oh,
and
yeah.
shelter.
Isn't it crazy how some of them coming to this country now are being flown on planes?
Exactly.
And you got people here, been here their whole life, never been on a
That's
plane.
right. And they are putting those people close to the black so-called community,
Yes,
which
sir.
we don't have a black community, in houses, schools, old apartments,
Yep.
old hotels.
Yep.
And they're making the homeless people move so they can put the immigrants that are not even citizens,
Right.
and many of them are criminals, in places where they're going to train them for their job, give them food,
Yeah. Housing.
find a job for them, and put them to work
Yeah.
within months. And
So
they
what's
got-
the difference? Because, and I totally agree, because I see it coming down the pipeline. I've been seeing it coming. Again, I grew up in Los Angeles. My old neighborhood where I grew up is predominantly Mexican now.
That's what I'm talking
You
about.
know, and so I knew it was coming to Jackson. It's finally here. Now, if you go down Lynch Street and Ellis Avenue, it used to be a gas station right there on the right next to Stokes Accessories. Stokes Accessories is the only store that's still open there, where they sell the Jackson State paraphernalia, college paraphernalia, fraternity, sorority stuff. But that gas station is now closed down. But now there's a guy and his wife there selling Mexican corn from out the trunk of their car.
And they're making money.
And they making money.
And in a few months,
In a
or
few
less
months,
than
they're going to have a building.
They're going to have what we call a stationary site.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it might not be nothing but a shed.
Right.
But in the next 6 months or so, they're going to have air conditioning and lights. in it.
Uh-huh.
And black folks going to make them rich.
Right.
That's right.
You're exactly right.
Because the thing is,
We're consumers.
The Democrats right now are getting ready to replace the blacks. And then they're going to use what I call step number 6, where they're going to relocate the blacks into other parts of the town. In a previous show, and for the last 3 years, I talked about the fact that first, there's something called slavery. Then there's something called segregation. Then there's something called relocation. All of these are legal entities that are
Right.
designed to get rid of a person. And the last one in that area is concentration. You might call it a relocation camp. Some countries call them death camps. Other calls them
Concentration camps.
concentration camps, and on, but
Right.
it's all the same, where you put people together you don't want, you don't like, that you have mistrained to be inefficient, and you don't want them around. You replace them and then get rid of them.
Yeah. We have another caller. Caller, are you there? Can you hit that?
Yes, sir. I'm good. How y'all doing?
Good. How you doing? Thanks for calling the Proven Wrong
Oh,
show.
like-
What's on your mind?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking. I just got a couple questions. Do y'all see any difference between what they like to call handouts, EBTs, people who go on Social Security check every month? Because to me, if you're on Social Security or disabled, I mean, you worked and put into that system, so you just getting your money back that you put into it.
Right.
You're not able to work anymore, whether it's kind of physical or mental.
Right.
So somehow I think people in both political parties group all it the same thing, which is not, because most people who put into that system, they're just getting the money back.
Exactly right. That's exactly right. Now, and so right now, the Republican Party feels threatened that Social Security is not going to be there, because like the two of us, we've worked. You know, I'm almost 60. You've already retired, so you're already probably getting Social Security. You put into it. That's your money. You earned it. It came out of your check every week, every month, whatever. Same way with me. I've been working since I was 11 years old, and so I can't wait to get my Social Security. Now, if my Social Security won't come because the Democrats have given out so much free stuff, EBT cards, HUD, you name it, and to folks who didn't work for it, hadn't put anything into it, I'm going to have a problem. I already have a problem with the amount of taxes I pay to Jackson Public School because I have rental property and I'm paying taxes on multiple properties around this city. I maintain my properties and I see how much money I'm putting to Jackson Public School and I don't see a return on my investment. I'm not happy with the return on my investment. But other folks who are not paying taxes the way we are, they don't have that. They don't have a clue what I'm talking about. They don't understand why folks can be upset with where this money is being misallocated, misused, and you know, then our young people are graduating dumber than ever before. Schools are closing right now. No heat, no water in JPS schools, so that's why they're virtual. Today was a beautiful day, but they're still virtual because they don't have water and they don't have heat. Now, that's Jackson Public School and it's the city of Jackson's fault. So, I hope that answered your question. But no, they're two different entities where Social Security is what you earn. All that other stuff is freebies. It's the helping the in a lot of cases, it's helping the greedy and not the needy.
Okay, I got another quick question for you. I know some people's complaining about the Mississippi Braves leaving, and I just saw that Taylor Top closed the deal where I ain't gonna say giving the business to come to Mississippi, but he's giving the tax breaks out for like that. But my thing is this: why all the new business that he's bringing to Mississippi are coming to Mississippi either at North Mississippi by the Tennessee state line or down on the Gulf? It's nowhere in the middle no more. Since the Continental got here. I mean, you watch the show and look from Cleveland to Jackson, it's almost a dead area. Mm-hmm. You still got a few people there, then you got the tornadoes come through there and knock a couple towns down. So my thing is, why he's not getting some business into the Delta besides casinos?
You from the Delta?
You know what I'm saying? I mean,
okay. Dr. Henderson's going to answer that question for you.
Well, sir, it's very simple. The Delta region has changed from an agricultural base to a freeloading territory. Most people in the Delta that's beyond high school can get a job, but they have to leave. Those that have less than a high school education can't afford to leave the Delta, so they are there with former relatives, 30 and 40-year-old men and women with the mothers and grandmothers. Mm-hmm. They are having children, and they have no jobs and no training facilities. Mm-hmm. And the governor is not going to enhance those areas because he has never done it. It is not part of the history of Mississippi. So they are going to put the jobs in areas where their children and their cousins can learn from the education they have in those areas to those community colleges and get those jobs and pay $60,000 a year. But it won't happen in South Jackson, in West Jackson, and in the Delta region because that will change the economy. That would change the status of the people. That is not part of Mississippi's design.
You heard from someone right there from the Delta. But go ahead, Yetta, I cut you off. You had another point?
No, I agree with him because, I mean, it makes perfect sense. It really makes perfect sense.
Mm-hmm. So how do we prove folks wrong? Because this is the Proven Wrong show, and we have about 5 minutes left on the show. So all that was said, how do we? And thank you, caller, for calling in. You can go ahead and turn it down. So how do we prove folks wrong? How do we now, with what we've put out tonight? There's still hope. It's like the spoiled cabbage.
Okay.
How do you cut away?
You started it by saying that Jackson Public Schools is getting a lot of money from you,
right?
And they're closing school. Mm-hmm. All Jackson Public School has to do, if you close the school, all you have to do is repurpose that school and put something in it, a vocational or technical program for the young men and women that didn't finish high school. 3, 4, and 6 month programs and if necessary, put a dormitory wing there where one can live there Monday through Friday, because most of the people that need the training don't have transportation.
Right.
And then you can make this thing Metro Jackson regional schools for anyone that has not gotten that high school diploma to get in there and get one of those 6 months would be the limit of training.
Right.
Truck driving, high-tech program, learning AI,
Right.
all kinds of short-term program where you can get a certification, a skill-based certification, and then you can get out there and get you a job after 6 months that'll pay you more than one that had a degree from a local university.
Right. Right.
You can make $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year, even a 7-day truck driving course.
So we know, and that's great. That is great. Repurpose the buildings. Get these folks in who want to learn and
That's
get
right.
these jobs. Then they'll be prepared for Continental Tire. Then they'll be prepared for this new electric battery plant that's coming to North Mississippi. Then they'll be prepared for all these other, the tool plant going up toward North Mississippi.
And the bad news is, see, those folks that I mentioned that's getting this repurposed building,
Right.
they will not be able to go and get that job at the tire company up there on Highway 80,
Right.
or the new company that the governor's bringing in,
Right.
because you have to test in to get those jobs. You have
Right.
to take a test, and you have to make a certain score. And before you take the test, you have to fill out an application to show that you have potential.
Right. To even take the
so
test.
if you take the test and you don't have potential, you wasted their time.
Right.
They are going to see that you had some kind of training somewhere that's related to what that new industry is,
Right.
give you a test, and then they're going to have a scaling system on that test, maybe from 80 to 100. And they're going to take the higher numbers first. And those that make 90 or less going to be put on the waiting list. And then when they get new jobs, a new extension, and they need 30 more people, they're going to retest those on the waiting list plus new people. And they're going to do a similar deal where you're still going to end up on the waiting list. And that's why people are going to have to go right now and get into institutions and get these certifications that I
Right.
mentioned, whether they have a high school diploma or not. And if there's not one in your area, that's why you have politicians. That's why you have industrial leaders. That's why they have people like you with clout all over the world. Your organization might could get one of those buildings, school buildings in Jackson, repurpose it. You have income from 115 or 20 nations,
Right.
and you can get foreign money to do that.
Oh, we have to be creative. I totally agree.
I could solve any of those problems
We have to be creative.
in 6 months.
Why won't you run for mayor?
No.
That's another show, I
No,
guess.
I want a young man to do that kind of stuff.
Well, at least you
My
can.
job is to work as an advisor.
I was about to say, at least you can advise him,
Right.
mentor him or something.
And
Listen,
support him other ways.
yes, sir. We appreciate you. I appreciate Dr. Henderson being on the show tonight. Listen, our time is up. We're so grateful you tuned in. Thank you, callers, for calling in. We hope we helped you a little bit. This is the Proven Wrong Show. It's 2024. What are you going to do different to change your life and those who are looking up to you? God bless you. We'll see you next week. We'll see you later.